There's my demarcated strand. I need to bring that strand across. From 8 plait down to 6, the dropping sequence is exactly the same. This strand, second from the bottom, there's 4 strands, second from the bottom, just moves into the belly like that, and we plait the same way we done the 6 plait with the 12 plait whip. Through the bottom 2 on the left hand side, through the top 2 on the right hand side. And before we get too far, we need now to remember that we've got a black strand there that we didn't pull down very tight. There it is there. And we're just going to give that a little bit of a tug now just to make sure it's down. Doesn't hurt to put the pliers on it. And just give it a bit of a tug, and that's down nice and tight, all part of one. And the strand that we're dropping is this one here. You can see it standing a little bit proud there, not sitting in as part of the mesh just yet. And we put a couple of more strands across it. There's the one beneath it or below it that just locked them all in. One more over from each side. We're just plaiting down now. There's nothing more to do except there's uneven plait through the top 2 for the red on the right hand side, through the bottom 2 for the black on the left hand side. Once again, I just visualize as I'm making whips that I have 2 hands that are tension wrenches, and they give me the same or almost the same load on each strand. We're just moving down through it now, and as soon as we meet that 6 foot mark, we'll fit the keeper. We'll hand the whip over to the world famous whip roller, Derek. We'll put the cracker on it, we'll put the fall on it, and we'll take it out and play with it. Okay, so there we are. We're at 6 feet, 72 inches, and that's what this whip is built to do. We're just pulling down those bellies to make sure there's no bunching here in that last section. And the same as the 12-foot whip that you may have seen the video on the web of the 12 plait, we're just cutting that off at about 5 or 6 inches. We don't need that part of the belly anymore, and we want to demarcate the belly from the plait strand, the plait leather. So that's very, very important. So we've just cut this belly strand off to demarcate it, because this is the belly strand and this is the plaiting strand, and we certainly don't want to use the belly strand to fit the fall of the whip. This belly strand, as you know, started back up here at just short of the 4 foot mark, and we brought this through so you've got ample strand for future use internally into the whip. So we're now going to fit the fall, and the inside of the fall is to face you. There's a shiny side and there's an inside. So just put it on the pliers to face you, just like that. And we're going to fit this now to the whip itself, to the thong of the whip. So it's just a matter of grabbing it like that with the pliers, and the fall has a slot in it. That slot will come already done from my workshop, and just run it up. Place the pliers down, or for me I just place them in my pocket there. And we undo one from each side, one strand from each side, and that allows us to pick the red strand, which is on the left side, and bring it back so that we've still got plenty of plait here remaining. And we fit the fall with a simple half hitch. And the reason it's done with a simple half hitch is, firstly, it's the end of the plait, so we want to seal the end of the plait, and we use the strand to do that with that half hitch around the fall. And secondly, the fall is the replaceable part of the whip, or the expendable part of the whip. In some years to come, depending on usage, this will need replacing, and you'll find a replacement fall in your kit, and it's a matter of just fitting it, and once you know how to do it, it's 5 minutes work. So we've got the first strand over, left-hand side red, then we're working the same colour sequence again. We're selecting a black strand, coming through, by cutting off those belly strands shorter, we were able to demarcate those strands, and we won't be able to select them because we certainly don't want those belly strands forming part of this half hitch sequence to fit the fall. So there's the red strand again, just the same streak sequence, red, black, red. We've got 3 on. And the strands just present themselves. You don't need to worry about which strand. It's quite easy to see once you're doing this half hitch. They just present themselves. Number 8, pull it down tight. And this final strand becomes a locking pin, or a locking strand. I'm just going back to pull that final one. There we go, that seated it down. Okay, and this locking strand, the final black one, goes through the slot in the fall, just like that, and it locks it all together. One will need just to grab a piece of rag, the old piece of rag you used to take the excess fat off the whip, roll it around your hand like that. Make sure that the strand is just running up the height, up the thong, and pull it down tight, just like that. Give it a bit of a pull with the pliers so that it comes through. And now we are going to simply trim it off, which is through there, just over 1/4 of an inch. You don't want too much hanging out if you're working from the saddle or you're working in a yard. You throw the whip out. The last thing you want is this to sort of catch up on something. And of course the final cut is at approximately 1.5 inches, just through there, 1.5 inches. And that leaves you strand then, when this the fall requires replacement, as indeed it will in some years' time, this will need replacing. You simply pull the locking pin out, do the reverse sequence, undo them, put a new fall on and tie it back on, same way I've just shown you, and that's the whip. So that's the whip plaited. Okay, so there they are all set. This fall at some point in the whip's life, it may be a year, it may be 2, it may be 5, but this is the replaceable or expendable part of a kangaroo hide stock whip. Okay, here's our 2-tone, beautiful red and black 8-plait kangaroo hide balanced stock whip, and we're going to show you the magic part. As you can see at the moment, if you run your hands down it, it feels a little bit rough, it looks a little bit kinky, and what we're going to do now is even out the plait, and we do that by rolling. So Derek's starting at the head or the keeper end of the whip, and he's rolling with as much weight as he can put on the block hand down towards the fall or the tail of the whip. And you see the tail of the whip jumping around everywhere. It's because it's not balanced, it's not straight. We're leveling out the plait and we're leveling out the tensions of the plait now. And as we do it, you'll see the whip will start and roll itself straight and true. It won't bounce around. This end is starting to roll straight and true now. And that's when you know you've got a good whip. When you can roll it and it doesn't bounce around and jump up in the air everywhere, you know you've done a good job. Starting at the head, now look at this end of the whip now. It's no longer jumping around like a bucking horse. It's rolling nice and straight and true on itself. It's taking any more stretch that's in the whip, it's taking it all out, and it's giving you a nice, true, straight product. That's just rolling perfectly. When you get down at about that 3rd time and it starts to roll like that, then I can tell you can feel proud in your belly because you've just done a great job, and that's how it's supposed to roll, that's how it's supposed to look. Derek's just checking it out now around the dropping strand. If you remember, we dropped 2 strands back in at 4 feet, and he'll just work those down now. Okay, everybody. Now, this whip didn't look as straight or as smooth as this as we were plaiting it down, but look at it now. It's tight, it's smooth, you can run your hand down it, you can feel the taper as you're coming down it, and as you see, there was no bounce. It's not jumping around like a bucking horse, and I'm quite happy now, and it's a good looking whip. I'm quite happy now to fit the stock to the thong, and we'll show you how to do that. Now here's your black and red stock, or handle if you will, and this has been pre-made in the kit. You'll recall we've elected to supply you with the built stock or the built handle because it's very important that we control the taper and balance of the whip, and by us making this here in the workshop, we've done just that. How to fit the stock to the thong is simple. You'll see we have 3 keepers. We have a black keeper. If I can reach in there and grab this out, maybe bring it through this side. We have a red keeper and we have a master keeper that goes over both of them. So we're simply folding this in half, making sure we attend to the two internal keepers. I just use my pliers to split them. So we're going through the black, we're going through the red and splitting them, and we're just folding these 3 keepers in half, just like that. Put the pliers through them and just work it out nicely. So it's folded in half, just like that. Not a problem, easy peasy. We're now going to attend to the thong, and the thong has 4 keepers. The 2 internal keepers, the 2 bellies, have keepers, and of course the black and the red. So we're putting the pliers through the 2 internal, and we're making sure we've got it through each one. We're just separating a little bit the black and the red so that we cover these internal keepers, just like that, and we display the black and the red 2-tone. And the same way we fitted the fall to the whip, or the thong of the whip, we're just grabbing hold of the keeper like that, and simple, easy peasy, just working those keepers up onto the stock, just like that. We're going to cover over those internal keepers, just like that. It's really the internal keepers that do all the work. These other keepers are just covering keepers, but still in all add to the strength. And from there, we take the fall of the whip and just pass it back up through the middle of the keeper on the stock, pull it through, force it through, bring it down and around, and work it down onto the keepers. I generally just use my pliers and move that keeper in and pull it down, put one's foot on it, pull it down tight, and there we are with the stock and the thong all attached. Our next step is to fit the cracker on the whip. So indeed we do all of these hours and hours of work simply so we've got something to attach the cracker to. And the attachment of the cracker is simple. From the bottom, just like that, go around the cracker once, come up, back up through that eye at the head of the cracker, pull them down tight. It's a simple half hitch, just like that. And you'll see that the fall and the cracker come through in a straight line. This is very important. If you don't put the fall and the cracker on properly, or the cracker onto the fall properly, the cracker will keep coming off on you. It's such a tremendous pressure when it breaks the sound barrier, it will just come off. That's the proper way, and that is a fall that should last you well and truly for some time. So the fall and cracker are expendable. If you hit something desperately bad with the fall, you could cut it or break it, and indeed you're going to need to replace the fall. There is a replacement fall in the kit, and there are replacement crackers in the kit. Time to go out and have some fun and crack the whip. Okay, so hot off the plaiting stand is this lovely 2-tone red and black 8-plat load and balanced kangaroo hide stock whip. Now it's not had a lot of use, it indeed hasn't even been cracked yet, and we're just going to show you how to break the whip in. We don't want you to take the whip straight off the plaiting stand and go out and try and make the loudest crack that God has ever heard, because that's not the way to break a good whip in. The way to break it in is just to break it in slowly